In terms of like purely informational purposes, this after consulting, what do people go on to do? Like in terms of, I guess you could call it exit opportunities.
Sure.
This is what the financy lingo is. But like even in terms of, I would assume that the skill set you do is very transferable to like starting your own business or you know, to a whole bunch of things, because it covers the whole spectrum of business. Like you should move to a new country, here's the strategy, here's marketing, here's, it seems to cover so many bases. So out of interest, like what are the exit opportunities, and also like what's the sort of range of like salary range? Sure. Broadly speaking, super broadly speaking, the median income in the UK is what, 25k?
Yeah.
Just like, you know, in terms of, I guess, informational purposes for the people listening.
Yeah. So for exit opportunities, it's very varied, and you'd find like similar across, you know, like the general lucrative considered career paths such as like consulting, investment banking, private equity, and so on. But what makes consulting like grads quite lucrative for our like corporate strategy roles. So because we've worked for example, in consulting, like as you keep progressing, you keep getting a certain specialization. So you can start as a generalist analyst who work across multiple different teams, and you can specialize into a particular function. So for example, you can be an M&A consulting expert, or you can be a growth consulting expert, or you can even specialize in certain industries. So you can be an energy consulting expert or a consumer goods consulting expert. So because you are doing a lot of strategic thinking within kind of, and also building a certain expertise and doing the strategic thinking in that sector or in that lens, a lot of corporate strategy roles become very good fits for consultants post their consulting career. So a lot of businesses would have like corporate strategy teams that support directly into like the executive board and like the C-suite of the organization, and that's where consultants fit in very well, because say L'Oreal, I don't know they have it, but like for hypothetically, if they had a corporate strategy team, they would want consumer goods experts because it's a consumer goods company, right? And they would hire consumer goods consultants to support the chief strategy officer or something to support them in their strategic decision making. So that is a very good and very natural career path that I've seen people take. A lot of people move on to entrepreneurship, and actually one of my friends recently did that as well, where she was quite interested in sustainability, and she just ended up starting something on her own, because that's something she wanted to do, and a lot of the skills that she's learned was quite helpful because she specialized within growth strategy, so she knows how to grow businesses, and she will be able to grow her own business that way. So entrepreneurship is a good one. Even finance is something that can be quite natural to consultants. It doesn't happen as much as the other two, because when you look at finance, there are people who come from investment banking backgrounds, private equity backgrounds, who have a lot more financial modeling experience. But I've seen that happen as well, and I think for me that makes complete sense as well, because in consulting you do end up doing a lot of financial modeling too, because say you have to tell a client, we're going to save you 200 million pounds, for example. What's the math behind it? Like, you can't just say the number, right? Like, you have to do like a very detailed financial model to understand what their baseline would be. So for example, you looking at the way you're doing your costs and looking at your future growth projections and so on, you're gonna spend $1.2 billion in operations. But through this new strategy, through the various cost savings that we're doing, we can change this baseline and we can reduce this cost numbers to 1 billion. So that gives you 200 millions worth of saving, which involves a lot of this like data analysis, data gathering, financial modeling skill sets. So, and you are doing it in like business context, right? So careers like venture capital or private equity can be really good to do that, because the role of say venture capital firms are to grow businesses, and you have to again do some financial modeling to see what would be the desired growth, and like, you know, what can the future look like for the company, at the same time using your skills as a strategy consultant in order to grow these companies that you've invested in. So these are like some exit opportunities, and like I think like you can see something so random as well sometimes, and that's what's cool about consulting, right? Because it's a lot of, sometimes you have to do a random project and you're like, I would have never worked in this industry if I wasn't a consultant. So you never really know what you end up doing, but these are the general paths that I've seen people take. In terms of pay, I think it varies quite a bit when it comes to different consulting firms and different types of consulting, where I've seen strategy consulting to be slightly better paid than other types of consulting. And like in your first year, like I've seen salaries ranging from 30K to 60K. And so that's when you join as an analyst, depending on which firm you do, and if you are joining a particular team or if you're joining as a generalist. That increases as you go forth. I'm not too aware of like what salaries look like a few levels from then, but like, you know, once you get promoted, you make almost twice as much, and like you kind of go from there.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. I'm sure that's something that's really useful, because I mean, a big problem is, you know, you look at industries and the types of jobs you want to apply for, but you don't actually have even a base case of like how much you're going to get paid, because the job listings never have it.
I had no idea.
Very difficult to find this information.